Alright folks, now I know this, but we are kinda behind on the videos covering the influx of tanks on the Supertest. But there are no HD pictures for them yet. It has been a week for the ARMT. There are no HD pictures, and these two just came out yesterday, so no in-game garage stats screenshots. So cannot see the full stats. Also, I don't want to talk about the Vickers 6-ton. It's a tier 2. It's whatever. That also goes for the A7E3, but it's a tier 3. So for this video, we'll do a very quick preview of the 4 vehicles on the Supertest, and then we'll do a list of potential premium tanks for holiday ops, and we'll wrap it up with assault artillery on the Russian server, because it's the Russian server. Assault artillery, stupid idea. Alright, A7E3 cruiser tank, taking parts from the Matilda and some of the Churchill designs, but it's not the fastest. It's still faster than Matilda, doesn't have armor, it's a tier 3. Penetration is not half bad for a tier 3. It's a 2-pounder gun, I believe, but it's a soft target with a decent gun. Also, the radio operator is switched from the loader position for some reason. Alright, fine, whatever. Alright, ARMT, the most interesting out of all of them. It's American 𝗂𝗂𝘂, except it has armor. The 𝗂𝗂𝗂 has like only 20mm of armor at most. It's an anti-aircraft, 4 machine guns shooting at planes and stuff, or helicopters. But this thing is a 76mm. Also looks like the M1A2 on the EZ8, 76mm. Not the M1A1 version on the tier 5 Sherman. But it's an autoloader with 3 rounds. It's somewhat nimble, about the same mobility I believe as a Sherman, but has 3 inches of armor at the front, 2 inches at the sides, and 1 at the rear. But it's an autoloader, garbage DPM. 3 round clip for about 300 alpha damage burst in 20 seconds. So it's about 1000 DPM per minute. Or yeah, DPM is already per minute, but god, that sucks. Alright, ISU 122-2. It's a ass end of an IS with a upgraded 122. That looks like the same gun that's on the STIs, or IS-4 doesn't have that gun. Yeah, it is the upgraded gun on the heavier tanks. Give me a split second. Russian tier 9s usually have those upgraded 122s. It's not this gun. It's this one on the 257, also STI. Oh, never mind. STI does. Oh, it's on the IS-3-2. So, yeah, it's like this. Except you have the ass end of an IS chassis in the front. Now, what is interesting about this vehicle is it has 190 at the hull front. Now, I presume that is the superstructure, not the actual ass of the IS chassis. Otherwise, that's a decent ass, or decent frontal quote-unquote upper plate with slope 190. That is pretty decent for a tier 8 with decent enough mobility and a decent enough firepower. The main downside to this vehicle is you cannot double shot, in the same sense of like firing one gun after another one quickly. So it's mostly focusing on the double shot. It's not focusing on firing simultaneously one round after another. It's 7 seconds between changing the gun, so you cannot use it like the same way you do with the IS-3-2, like firing one after another instead of using the double shot mechanic. So you have to use the double shot mechanic, but okay, fine. It's decent enough mobility with armor, so might be scary with enough health too. Might be scary. And finally, the Super T-54, practically a slower T-54 with space armor. Looks like the space armor package for the turret, the side skirts, and likely for the upper plate, but who knows? We have to see the actual armor model. So they have put a applicate armor package on the upper plate, as well as looks like from the lower plate, but no HD pictures, no in-game garage screenshots. I cannot tell you. Has the L7 105. I don't think any of the Germans use the L7 on the T-54 or their T-54-55s, but that is interesting. So it's like a 121B, WZ121B, but it's a T-54 practically. Oh, there you go, folks. A quick preview, but let's take a look at the list of vehicles recently for a bunch of holiday ops. So this year we cover a few, and this is for Russian server, so that doesn't count. So these two are moving a little bit over. We'll take a look at Russian server soon enough, but influx, that likely be a premium. That's a tier 9, so we have a few tier 9 candidates, but I still prefer the Object 590 over the T-54D maybe, but influx nemesis and a bunch of tier 5s. The patent is likely for the token machine if we're getting to it with the Object 283, so collect token missions, and you have rentals of a non-premium tier 9 as a vehicle. But yeah, there are a few vehicles in my A recently, like the BT-42, also the Tiger 2 for tier 7 German. So 𝗂𝗂 collaboration is still in the works, quote unquote, question mark. But this year we covered the XM66F, which is a American 𝗲𝗲𝗄𝗂. The Tiger Mouse is a tier 9. That would be great if this was the tier 9 premium for holiday ops. That would be nice. The 𝗲𝗶𝗄𝗃 PR68, which is like a large caliber mutts. Practically the, oh my god, light tanks, Russian light. There are a few when I think about Russian light tanks. This was changed to a medium, the 𝗲𝗁. A lot of 𝗔𝘀𝗀𝘃, MPTB is tier 10, that doesn't count. So we have a few. The Titty will likely be in Mirny 13. So we'll likely see some sort of TS60. That's a tier 9, right? The upgraded Chrysler. So we already covered all the vehicles on the channel, like all of them. But potential vehicles that most likely come out are vehicles that look interesting enough, but performance-wise, not that great. So American tier 5 XM66F, we already covered this vehicle. American 𝗲𝗲𝗄𝗂, practically. So versatile. It's not assault. It doesn't have hull armor. That's the only downside. So also it has a lot of downsides, but we already covered this vehicle to the death. The 𝗲𝗁, we'll already talk a lot about this vehicle too. So change from a light tank at tier 10 to a medium tank at tier 8. It was a tier 9 light tank too. So practically an Object 274A, except smaller. So there are a few potential candidates, but the recent ones are less likely. I'm more skeptical of vehicles like the Nemesis or the ISU 122-2, but hey, they could put it. So for last year, we have vehicles like the CS52C that came out in September, but let's take a quick look at the list. Give me a split second. So I have my archive. So last year we covered Object 283. That was only, wow, what that was the, okay. This was in November. The final vehicle that we cover is likely the BZ. But then again, so around August, end of August, we covered the SU-122, we covered the CS52C, we covered the Lion, we covered, so about the same time, around August to September, that we already covered most of the vehicles on the holiday ops list. So it shouldn't be any more later. So vehicles that come out later possibly cannot be on the actual holiday ops list. But interesting. Alright, quick segue. So for this video, we already covered most of the vehicles on the list. So I'll do a separate video on the potential vehicles and probability of which one we'll likely see on holiday ops coming later, like 2 or a single month when you think about it. Holy crap, it's only 2 more months since holiday ops. But finally, let's wrap up with assault artillery, because reasons. They have the object 261 version number 4, based off of the IS-7 chassis. It is still somewhat of an indirect fire-ish, so I presume the gun arc as well as the shell velocity is garbage, but it's firing a high explosive round or high explosive anti-tank round, but no stun effects. It's directly supporting heavier or heavy tanks or assault tank destroyers, but fighting over a cover like this thing. Still getting flanked by a Leopard 1, shooting at a Conqueror, or maybe a Super Conqueror. Looks like a Conqueror regularly. Cupola design. But that is the object 261 version number 4. Looks like a 268, but just a little bit bigger of a superstructure covering the whole frontal upper plate, right? Or the whole vehicle. But it's a 203mm gun, so bigger than the 152 on the 268, but oh god. It has armor. It's 210 pike nose at the front, so IS-7 chassis, right? I mean, it's a lot better than the 268 normally, but god, that's a big gun. So it's a assault artillery category. You cannot train your crew from tank destroyers. You cannot train your crew from heavy tanks. It is particularly assault artillery. Pentagon square assault artillery. Oh god, it's a thing, I guess. But let's take a look at the stats. This is version number 4. Yep, that's version number 4 with high explosive rounds, dealing 800 damage but only 52mm of pen, no stun effects, DPM sucks ass. Now you might say, hey, 2.88 seconds of aim time, that's not bad. Nope, that's not aim time. Aim time is 4 seconds. That is accuracy. 2.88 accuracy. Regularly or average is about 0.35. 0.35. That is about 10 times worse. Oh god, that sucks. I think the Conqueror gun carriage has like 1 point something, but that is pretty bad. Gun traverse arc 10 degrees per side, 5 degrees of gun depression. Okay, I mean, it takes about 30 seconds to load a round. Holy crap. Might as well play War Thunder at this point. Jesus. Health is not much. Not really. It's only 1500. For assault artillery, not much. It has the armor, but 210 at the hull front. So, pike shape, IS-7 at the hull front. Might be shooting at the lower plate, but Commander Cupola is somewhat small, I guess. It's like with the WZ-113 GFT, the tank destroyer at tier 10. Okay. Mobility wise, it's pretty decent in terms of horsepower per ton ratio and top speed. Hull traverse is not great, but then again, it is a heavy tank chassis. It has a decent ramming capability with 65 tons, but might be face hugging with this thing. But then again, if you're firing high explosive, you'll be splashing yourself with the high explosive damage. Who the hell knows? Camo is a Patton-esque. View range is garbage. Okay. I mean, it looks decent, right? I mean, you could simulate by playing the Jagdpanzer E100 firing high explosive rounds. Or using the actual 268 and firing high explosive rounds, but you cannot arc behind a cover. Also, the Russian server have their weird fairy tale Halloween stuff. They don't get Mirror 13, so sucks to be them, but whatever. Alright. Version number 4 and version number 5 practically uses the same model, but different shells. One's high explosive, one's likely high explosive anti-tank, but high explosive anti-tank has better reload for less damage and better, dramatically better accuracy and better aim time, but DPM is still meh. It is artillery still. Can't believe this is a thing. So armor, hull, mobility, all the same. Yeah, all the same camo, view range. Is it viable on the actual meta, or if it actually comes to the other servers? I don't think so. You're playing practically a neutered tank destroyer. So it's like playing with the 268 version number 4, except you're firing all high explosive. So you can simulate that by playing the 268 version number 4, firing only high explosive. But yeah, it's not a bad looking vehicle. I would prefer this as an actual tank destroyer. That would be fun, right? That would be interesting. Also bring along the 𝗂𝗁𝗃𝗃 E100. That would be also interesting, but it's a super fake tank, but who the hell knows? This is also practically fake. 208 or 203 millimeters on a freaking IS-7 chassis. It's kind of fake, right? Right? But hey, if you can bring this along, might as well bring the 𝗂𝗁𝗃𝗃 E100 or some other crazy, fantastical super tank destroyer if you want. But okay. Well, there you go, folks. A quick preview of the vehicles that we have to cover that I'm falling behind on, but it's been a while, but no HD pictures yet. So the most interesting vehicle out of all of these is likely the Tier 5 American, but this is so crap. If this thing only has 500 more DPM, that would be actually a lot better, but this thing is not half bad, but it's boring, basic. It's a double shot assault of a tank destroyer, so like a 263, except you have 2 guns practically based on the armor initially. And this thing is a super T-54 compared to a regular T-54, like a super Pershing to a regular Pershing, so slower but more armor and more penetration, more powerful gun. Debatable, but then again, you can fire all high explosive anti-tank out of the T-54 or T-55. It's still decent. It's a German though, but you're competing it with the T-55A. Then again, my girls on Panzer crew will love it, so not enough premium or special German medium tanks. You can just fire high explosive anti-tank out of this thing, no problem. And this thing has the accuracy and the aim time. So, well, there you go, folks. So as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.